Yo, what is up? Gib here. We got a updated Yelli tier list for Etheria restart here. And as usual, I stream on Twitch every day. Twitch.tv/Gib, night here, come through. I stream a bunch of games. Not only Etheria, not surprising. You can't really play Etheria all day. You kind of can if you like max refresh, but yeah, we're kind of past the point of spending a million hours on Etheria. But yeah, I just want to, little promo at the start, my personal progress on my free-to-play account right now, we're level 69, about to hit level 70. I've gotten, we've got health war and everything, and we've cleared hell of all of the shells there, but we haven't gone past that. But yeah, this is about the tier list with Yelli here. Let's go. So Yelli, I honestly pretty much agree with the 0.5 tier 0 for generic PvE on her. The only thing is, I don't know what her early game looks like because she's kind of similar to Rosa in the fact that you kind of need to invest in her, but she's not bad with no investment, right? It's just more RNG, obviously. So if we look at someone like Rosa and Yelli, they have a similar kind of playstyle here. Honestly, I think the only thing that separates Rosa and Yelli from both being tier 0 is that Rosa is a blue character while Yelli is light, so she doesn't get countered by as much. Besides that, Yelli and Rosa kind of have similar performance everywhere, and that's as someone that has a maximum invested in Rosa, and my Yelli is going to get there in the future, free to play, so I don't have any lattices here. I'm using, I'm getting by with what I can do. I can get by with what I can do, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting by, man. I'm getting by, man. We did 6-star her though and stuff like that. We got a little revelation and stuff like that on her. Nothing too crazy, nothing too crazy. But yeah, Yelli, she's able to proc revelation, which is pretty sick. I think I have a clip here of my Yelli procking multiple revelations. Oh, I was recording, waiting for it to happen here. I think it happens on... Does it happen here? It looks so crazy when she does it, by the way. You ult and you just keep procking revelation. I think it's kind of insane that she can do that. So yeah, Terramaton here. We go for an ulti. I think I got 4 follow-ups in this clip, if I remember correctly. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we didn't get 4. I have a clip. I swear I have a recording here where I hit 4. But yeah, this is just me clearing Terramaton, with ditting Yelli, nothing too crazy here. Other people in tier 0, we have the Ting. He is the GOAT. He's the SR, just clear everything, you put him in there, he kind of cleans up shop. We have Masya. Masya, god in PvP, god for PvE, clears most of the stuff. He's not the god of single target, though, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some people clear Masya. He's definitely not the GOAT of single target. Now, he's not bad, obviously, but I don't think he's the GOAT of single target. I think in single target, Rosa is insane. She has so much consistent DPS, it is crazy. Yelli too as well, but Yelli's more RNG, I would say, while Rosa just needs to land her debuff and she follow up on all of her teammates. So pretty solid there. And then tier 0 for debuff, we have Holden and Kloss. Kloss is pretty much the GOAT here, I'm not gonna lie. They have cost for tier 2 on Aurora. We could check that later. Heinrich, I'm not going to lie. Heinrich general use, you could put him in tier 0. I think a lot of people will forget you can also have Heinrich as a sub DPS as well. He doesn't have bad scalings. He does a lot of damage. He's also able to do multi-hits, so if you really wanted to, you could actually have Heinrich on a revelation, crazily enough here. Yeah, we've got a 3-hit 100% damage on his ultimate here, and then he also is able to do a crit damage debuff on them, which increases the crit damage that your team does for 4. It can stack up to 4, and it multiplies it by 7. I mean, that's pretty crazy, Not multiplied by 7, adds it up by 7. But, yeah, and he dispels on every attack if you have good enough effect accuracy on him. I feel like this guy should be tier 0 easily, I'm not going to lie. That's just me, though. Going into other people here, I do think Control, Vice is kind of the GOAT for how low investment he is and just able to hit the boss. I do think that he should be able to, I guess he can stay in 0.5. I guess he can't go in tier 0 yet. I think Mio, though, Mio's kind of insane. I think Mio is probably helping a lot of people push any of the Infernos where the bosses or the minions are really fast and you're able to turn order change them, because Mio, unlike Kloss or something, her skill 3 pretty much does what Kloss's ult and skill does in 1. Obviously, Kloss is the defense shred, Mio has no defense shred, but Mio's turn advancement for your team is pretty nice since it's a direct buff to them. But yeah, This guy's just really good because he's able to sustain and he's able to heal. If you don't know, Vice with the, which shell is it here? It's the one that you get from Rengetsu here. Yeah, this shell. He's able to pretty much like be a healer for your team. Now, he's not cleansing or anything, but he does give it a really nice, decent amount of healing. And this is able to get Stride, Swift Rush, and if you go for like a super tanky build, you could have like Bloodbath and Strive on him, so he just keeps going. He's not doing any crazy damage or anything, but he is a staller, and he definitely helps with his attack down and his turn meter down. So definitely very solid character going on there. We go further down here. We have Fengus. Fengus is kind of directly tied to Shadow Sonya, but he does have his uses there. Then we also have Kaloros. I'm surprised they split up Fengus and Obul. They're kind of the same, I'm not going to lie. I guess he doesn't really have any stuns. He just has a slow. So I guess that makes sense. Kaloros is kind of just like the Terramaton guy, or for, you can use him for your Union boss. He's very single target, which is unfortunate, and he kind of needs your team to attack a lot. Maybe in the future he'll get a support that boosts him up, but he's definitely beat by people above him for sure. Rahu is definitely more of a PvP guy, and I feel like you need a lot of investment on him to get any damage. You're kind of just stalling with Rahu if you're using him outside of PvP. Romoka, she's just a Doki Doki clearer, you know. And Tiamat is low-key insane in PvP. I'm not gonna, every time I play against a Tiamat, if you don't get Ling Low from them, and they get their ulti, they just wipe. I don't know how her ult scaling works, but she does insane damage cleave in PvP. Like, actually insane. Viper is the Aurora guy. He also has an attack down, though, and he has counters, which is pretty nice. Dina is for really high investment teams, so you can nuke. Pretty solid placement for her. Honestly, I think you can move Dina into 0.5 and move Heinrich into tier 0. That's just me, honestly. Then we have Gray. Gray is a just crit buffer and defense shred. Good for Doki. Honestly, I don't know how Gray is bad for Aurora, besides the fact that he would get targeted by her, because all Gray does is buff your team and do defense shred. I guess they're making it so that if your character needs to have a cleanse for Aurora, that they go down on the listing, but I feel like everyone's going to need the cleanse, no? I don't know. Going on here, we have Kazuyo. Kazuyo's for Doki. That's about it. PvP. Oh my god. Kazuyo in PvP, bro. Lily, the Lily-Kazuyo combo. If you don't ban this, by the way, you just auto-lose. There's a 99% chance you lose. They don't even need DPS. They'll just outstall you. If you have a Kazuyo, her follow-up procs her basic attack, by the way, and she just spam sleeps. I don't know what it is in PvP. That 20% that she has on her sleep, it is not 20%. Every time I get a follow-up, I let this go through a couple of times because I was like, oh, I'll just outspeed or I'll tank. No, you just get perma-CC'd. Even if they have no damage, you get perma-CC'd. And then you're slumbered too, so you're taking 25% extra damage and you're missing your turn. Maybe it's because it's 2 hits of damage, so you're getting 2 chances to proc at 20%. But like in PvP, they hit this every time when they have Lily. I think that's insane that it does that. It's that effective. I'm not gonna lie. Celine's I have not played personally, but I've been seeing Celine's clear. She's really good for sustaining your team and also controlling the enemy, which is pretty nice. And then Obul is same thing. He goes with Sonya, and he's also able to stun the whole enemy, and he's able to steal buffs from bosses and turn them into dots. I shouldn't say steal. I should say rework their buffs into debuffs, which is dot. Next we have is Biontin, Kachi, Shiaki, and Doki Doki. Doki Doki is just an RNG buffer. I do think she can go up to 0.5 though. She's really able to make your whole team take action, which is pretty insane, I'm not gonna lie. Kachi the Guard was insanely underrated. He is definitely going to get a boost probably soon. For all the Infernos and just overall, he's able to give your team a full immunity, and then he's also able to give them a defense buff, which I think is pretty nice. And then I think he also extends any buffs that your team has already, which is pretty huge. So similar to like Ling Lo, except without the healing. Chiaki's kind of like a mini Lily in terms of action advance, and she's also able to cleanse on your team from basic attacking, which is pretty nice. And then Biontin's more of just a hyper carry buffer. I think the biggest problem with Biontin is how bad her AI is, but besides that, she's a very solid kit. You do need to level up her skill 2 a little bit. I recently got Biontin and I've been using her. You definitely need to have her skill 2 at level 4 for that reduced skill cooldown to 2 turns, because it's like massive. Makes anyone that has their ult fully leveled that they get their ultimate immediately. And then she also has a revive as well, passive revive if your team dies. But usually when she gets that off, you've probably lost the fight. But it probably has more use in PvP, I would assume. And then lastly here, I didn't check sustain. Also, I didn't talk about Lily. I feel like everyone knows Lily is just insane. I don't think there's any point in talking about Lily. But yeah, sustain, Valerian, absolutely crazy. I don't even know why they have her in 0.5 for Aurora. She should just be tier 0 for everything. They probably have her in 0.5 for Aurora because you probably want to, you should, it's definitely better for you to run Ling Low instead of Valerian most of the time so that you can cleanse the healing debuff. Besides that, I think she's still insane. If you're able to get enough DPS, I feel like Valerian, you can still run her on the team. Mio, or Mia, too many N's, pretty solid character. She's able to rotate to your team's buffs. She's able to dispel, and she's able to heal. You kind of really need Codex if you're going to use her for healing, so she can have instant ult uptime. Besides that, though, she also gives you a shield on the basic attack, and then she's able to give herself self-damage reduction, which is pretty nice. 4-star Sonya, still pretty solid character. Definitely has her cons, you know, being the 4-star version of the healing, but she is able to heal a ton. She has her self-turn meter advance, which is huge, and then she has the revive as well. If you're still using Sonya at a higher level, you probably have her max invested in, so that gives her a lot of buffs to her turn meter increase, how much she heals, and how much she cleanses, so pretty solid character overall. But we also have down here in tier 1, we have Chiaki. She gives you just only healing and I think some damage reduction. And then Hellkid. I feel like Hellkid's super underrated here. I don't think Hellkid should be tier 1 general use. He should definitely be tier 0.5. He doesn't heal, but his shield is insane that he gives you. And then he's able to refresh it as well. And then he also does some damage himself, which is pretty crazy. So I don't know why they have him in tier 1. I'm not going to lie. Then tier 2, we have Borg, Hoyan, Leon, and Rin. I've seen people run some crazy Rin combos in PvP, but I have not seen her anywhere else. Realistically, you probably just build someone else, especially since she's a blue DPS as well. I think she's only a PvP DPS. Don't think she has any big PvP use or PvE use. Borg, same thing, more of a PvP character because he's able to ignore passives. In terms of like consistent DPS, he just really has a self-heal and a cleave that ignores passives. It doesn't really help for any of the bosses right now. Hoyan, like I said, I don't think they know how crazy she's gone in Terramaton. She probably needs to move up to 0.5 or tier 0 for Terramaton for sure. Leanne, I think is crazy in PvP and then falls off for all of the PvE bosses here. She's good for, like, Karudu, but you don't really fight that guy outside of, like, one-time boss fights. You don't have anything that refreshes how you fight with, so makes sense there. Other people here. I haven't seen any use for Oboro, but I feel like her kit isn't that bad. Her kit seems pretty solid on paper. The only thing is she's a single-target character, so maybe she needs a buff somewhere. She's able to give you a bleeding, which I've heard doesn't ever remove from the enemy unless they cleanse it, so it's just a permanent dot on them. Then she has a defense shred on her skill 2, and her ultimate is a bleed and turn meter reduction. But all of it's single target, and the problem with her being single target is Rosa exists. I think that's why she's so low. You probably just use Rosa in most of the like places that you would use her. Because Rosa does turn meter. Rosa doesn't really need this bleed since it could be cleansed from the boss. And then, yeah, I mean, probably she can have some use in PvP as like a pocket pick, but PvE right now probably doesn't have any crazy uses, you know? Maybe on like the crazy robot girl, you know, speed reduction could be pretty nice on the basic attack, but that's what you use your supports for, so it's kind of a weird, awkward place here. I have full dupes of her, so I just want to be able to use her one day eventually. I just want to be able to use her one day eventually. Other people here. Veronica, I heard, got nerfed crazy from the beta, so that's why she's fallen. I personally haven't seen any gameplay with her. She just steals buffs and all that type of stuff. Talked about Kraken. Lilith, I think she's just a pocket pick for PvP. Tsukiyomi, pretty solid character, I think. I think she's kind of underrated. It's just other people kind of do what she does better or have more utility than she does, but I don't think she's a bad character. I think Turandot's pretty underrated. She gives you attack and She gives you attack and defense, and then she also has a very high uptime dispel. I think they can move her up for Aurora at least. This guy is only for Aurora as far as I've seen, and then yeah, I don't think Tsukiyomi should be with these two. I think she has a fair enough use to go up at least one. Kazumi is kind of like a mini Lily in terms of skill cycling and just cooldown reduction, all that. So I don't think she's that bad. I think she could probably go up to tier 2. And then she's just a healer. She's like the last option, honestly, for healing and a turn meter buff on your team. This guy is just a 100% action forward, but Tsukiyomi can do the same thing with Lattice and give you an attack buff, so makes sense there. Other people, haven't seen much on Somu. He kind of has the same gameplay as Oboro, except he's green. And then this girl, she seems like she's more of a PvP character, nothing for PvE. I could see this girl going insane in PvP, I'm not gonna lie. She has a ton of counters that she can do, and then she also permanently dispels on all of her attacks. The only thing is, how much value is she getting every time she gets a turn? That would be a big thing. I don't even know where she's at right here. She has the dispels. She scales off of defense, so she's tanky, and then she permanently counterattacks. I think she has a lot of potential for a turn 2 team. But me personally, I can't invest in her, so, we'll see. I think she has a sleeper build, though. I think she has a sleeper build for PvP. Lastly here, Victor guy, I heard got nerfed from beta. This guy, he's able to do defense shred and turn meter reduction, but other people do that, so probably just has hard to slot him into teams. And besides that, I think we've pretty much addressed everyone here. Anyone else I didn't talk about, you couldn't ask me about my opinion on them. I didn't go over Shadow Sanya, but I mean, her tier 0 is pretty granted. She clears everything in the game. All the first Infernal clears with her. Now people are doing some new stuff, but yeah, she pretty much clears all the Infernals for free. You add some dot characters, she just pops them. Going back to Yelli though, in my experience, Yelli is pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. She just literally is able to do what Rosa can do without the she's able to do what Rosa can do without the element debuff on certain bosses, Me personally, as a Rosa enjoyer, I've cleared all this stuff with Rosa here. I even did a Terrabaton clear where I swapped out Deting for Yelli because I still wanted to have a Rosa clear. Dude, freak Terramatan, by the way, bro. Terramatan he's a hoe. He's a hoe, bro. Terramatan's a hoe. This boss is so RNG, and then he always attacks your highest attack unit, man. So cringe, man. It's so cringe. But yeah. Besides that, I have a full auto Hell 4 Doki team, by the way. This team clears 99% win rate, which is crazy. Aurora, I don't have an auto team yet. But yeah, besides that, that's my thoughts on the Pride 1 tier list here. Hopefully I didn't yap your ears off too much. If you had had an opinion that I didn't give a thought on, I kind of want to make a separate video talking about PvP. I didn't go too in depth on PvP because I feel like I could talk for 30 minutes about just PvP, specifically. But in terms of PvE content and stuff, I think most of this stuff has been discovered or is, being discovered. I gave my thoughts on most characters and everything, on what I think about where they should be at and what they can do and all of that. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any sleeper picks that you've been clearing any of these bosses with and all that type of stuff. As usual, make sure to sub up to your boy. Appreciate the future content. I've been enjoying Etheria here and there. I have my gripes with it, but I've been enjoying having my account progress, which is pretty nice. So yeah. Besides that, that's my thoughts on the tier list that we have for today. Let me know your thoughts, all that type of stuff, and goodbye.